this is about living fossils and connecting links. Okay, living fossils are living representatives of ancient animals that retain many primitive characters. They have undergone very little change during long geological periods, and now they are on the verge of extinction because of the reducing number in the particular maybe habitat is getting reduced. So because of that, they are on the verge of extinction. And here we are going to list a few examples as well as common features of living fossils. So living fossils, they have retained many primitive and ancient characters from the time of their origin without any modification. So those primitive characters have been retained by the organisms for a long period of time. Okay, and their origin may date back to millions of years before, and from there to the recent or to the present, it has been undergoing very little change. So without any modifications in their characters, they have been continuing their life. Okay, for example, peripatus has simple eyes, segmentally arranged nephridia, thin cuticle and ciliated reproductive ducts. The presence of these primitive characters in living fossils has been mainly due to their characteristic sluggishness, long isolation, unchanging environmental conditions of their habitat, absence of competition and resistance of these animals to variations of their environmental conditions. Right. Secondly, living fossils have been undergoing very little change from the time of their origin. So they have retained primitive and ancient characters. Almost the first 2 points are almost overlapping, but still they show very little change from time of their origin. For example, the Australian lungfish Neoceratodus and the horseshoe crab Limulus, they have retained the characters. They have remained unchanged for about 200 million years. Although the environmental conditions of these animals, of the habitats of these animals have been constantly changing. Similarly, Sphenodon, Tuatara, has not changed appreciably for almost like 135 million years since the Jurassic time, while their counterparts have changed and evolved into new species. Right. So Sphenodon has undergone very little change, but those organisms which evolved during the same time had evolved into many new species. Right. The third one is Radital Evolution. The Radital Evolution means evolution at a much slower rate. For example, the brachiopod genus Ligula, perhaps the oldest living genus of animals, they have not changed its shell construction significantly in 400 million years. So there is no much change on the shell construction from the fossil record and the present one. So it has been not changed much, right. Then the fourth one is with regard to the distribution. Living fossils have a limited or isolated geographic distribution. For example, Sphenodon, it's found only in New Zealand. What about this one, monotremes and marzub, the Australian region. The Prototheriat is present only in Australian region. Now that is limited, we can say it is isolated, right. Okay. Now when we go into some other groups like lungfishes and peripatus, they have discontinuous distribution because they inhabit widely separated areas. So either the living fossils show either limited distribution or isolated or discontinuous distribution. Okay. The next one is most of living fossils serve as connecting link between major groups of animals. It's not like all the living fossils are like that, but most of them are connecting links between two major groups. Okay. One is peripatus, very typical example. It is a connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. Right. Coming to the last one, the total number of living fossils is very few, usually represented by a single genus or a few species under a genus. Hence they have only low representation. Some of them are the last remnants of a dominant group in the geological past. For example, the Nautilus, it is a shelled cephalopod, and today it is represented by a single genus Nautilus, and it occupied a dominant position in marine waters during like Silurian and Devonian periods, but now it is represented only by a single genus. Okay. So you can see a few examples. It's a Neopilina, Nautilus, we were speaking about the cephalopod, isn't it? So the Nautilus over here, this is a single genus representation, living one. Okay. And then you are already familiar with Limulus. Okay. Living fossils were also significance, evolutionary significance. Living fossils have a very ancient origin, and hence they throw some light on evolution, reveal the nature of ancestral forms. Okay. Regarding, you can see mollusks are traditionally described as unsegmented, but Neopalina, a new species which was described in 1957 from the waters of Gulf of Mexico, they have several segmentally arranged organ systems that indicate that primitive mollusks have been segmented. Okay. Another example is with regard to peripatus. Peripatus and lungfishes, they reveal how a new group could evolve from the older one. Since, for example, peripatus, you have studied that it shows characters of both annelids as well as arthropods. So, in such a way, it is evolutionary important. Okay. Now, with next concept is connecting link. Animals having characters of two groups of animals are known as connecting links. So, they provide good evidence of organic evolution. Very typical example we have is regarding the Archaeopteryx, which you are already familiar with. Another is Peripatus, which is a connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. So, these two groups, these two examples can be cited under connecting links. Okay. So, with this we come to an end of living fossils and connecting links module as well. Okay. Right. Thank you.